Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Enjoy complimentary access to the American Express Global Lounge Collection. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
Comcast is committed to bringing access to the internet to all Americans, including rural communities across the country, like Sussex County, Delaware.
We were being left behind. Everybody around us seemed to have internet, but we did not. High-speed internet is one of those good things that we needed to help us move our farming, our small businesses, our recreation forward.
Learn more about how we're bringing our next generation network to more people across the country at comcastcorporation.com/investment in America.
Hey, I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Kate Lindsay. And you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it.
Slate's podcast about internet culture.
And Kate, have you heard about this news scam that I'm really worried will affect us?
Oh, God.
It's going to hit our industry.
Oh, my God, no.
Here's the deal. I'm on TikTok, and I see this woman. She's an author, published by a real publishing house. She says that someone has been scamming her because they have been pretending to work for Amy Poehler's podcast, Good Hang, and they have been fake trying to book her. Do any of these words make sense to you?
I was about to say, I don't know if that is the most niche scam of all time.
Right.
Or if I just don't realize how popular Amy Poehler's new podcast is.
Okay, so let me back up. Taylor Wolfe on TikTok basically posted these emails that someone has been sending her. And get ready for this. The email is coming from bookgoodhang@gmail.com.
Nothing suspicious about that.
No, not even the fact that this place is a real production company, that it's from The Ringer. Don't worry about that. Anyway, they basically say, hey, my name is Kevin. I'm a manager for Amy Poehler's Good Hang podcast. We've been following your work. They say, we're going to pay you $2,000 honorarium. That just means like a fee to appear. Mm-hmm. And we would love to explore this opportunity with you. And they basically want to bring her on the show.
It all started with an invite to be on Amy Poehler's podcast. What a dream, right? Except for I knew it was a scam. So naturally I responded, oh my gosh, yes, I am so excited. The scammers were thrilled. They said we could talk about life with dogs. They were big fans of my dog Harlow, who died 5 years ago. I wanted to string him along. So I said, wow, that's so great. I'd love to talk about Harlow. And then I wanted to creep him out a little. So I said, I trained at the same comedy place as Amy in Chicago. Does she choose her guests? Does she do any research? Just curious. Not asking for any reason. Haha.
And the thing is, I have to say, this Taylor girl, you're smarter than me. Because I read this email and I go, oh my God, I'm going to go on the Amy Poehler podcast. I don't know a single person she knows.
Oh my God, no, my brain immediately flagged at them offering payment. I guess I know at least from journalism, you would never be offered payment for an interview. But listen, maybe I've just been missing out on thousands of dollars in my life in the podcast industry.
Actually, that's a good point. And I will say though, even though this is a very tempting offer, bookgoodhang@gmail.com. Mm-hmm. Be for real. Anyway, Taylor decides to have fun with this. At first, she's responding like it's going to happen of like, great, tell me the details. And I got to say, they're really good on the details. They're outlining, they're bolding, they're saying this is the time of the taping whenever you're available, da-da-da-da. And then once she really confirms, like, heart of hearts, this is a scam, she's like, she goes a little crazy. She's like, I know you said we were going to do a Zoom, but I actually would like Amy Poehler to be there, and I would like it to be on camera. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. We must honor Amy's time. Amy won't be there. First off, if you've watched MTV's Catfish, you know the camera's never broken. The camera's never broken.
She was skeptical from the get-go, and she was just kind of like,
so.
Yeah, so she was just kind of playing with them like you do, like, I don't know, when you get those spam texts or whatever.
Exactly. Oh, my God. Yeah. And so she keeps it going, though. And at some point, she kind of tries to play them where she's like, you know what? I'm actually going to be in LA next week. Do you want to meet up? Let's meet up. Let's go face to face. And then she starts sending them like emojis and kind of like honestly, she sounds scammy to them.
Yeah.
And they stop responding. So what does she do? She keeps responding by saying like, pick up, ha ha ha.
Oh my God, out scamming the scammer.
And see, that's what I love. I love when you freak out the scammer. Out freak the scammer.
Yeah.
That's how you know we will defeat AI. Anyway. So far, no response. Now, I feel like there are some obvious questions here, right? Like number one, if you were pretending to be the Amy Poehler podcast, why would you scam people? Why? Why would you do it?
Right. Yeah, that is, scamming usually has some type of monetary.
Send money here, click link.
Because I felt, it's weird. At this point, they've only offered money. They haven't actually requested any. So I wonder what they get out of this exchange.
Exactly. And so far in the initial email, I'm not seeing any suspicious hyperlinks that go somewhere they shouldn't, right? Now, Taylor does acknowledge in a comment, because someone asked this question, she was like, apparently there are some scammers who will get on a Zoom with you and they will ask to screen share. And usually this means like they show you what's on their screen, but apparently...
But they want her.
Apparently there's a way where they can kind of like remote in, which IT people do.
Yeah.
And they can kind of like control your computer, get into your bank accounts, log into stuff they shouldn't. Things like that.
I mean, you would really, if you were that far and they were like, hey, so yeah, here at the Good Hang podcast, we need full control of your computer. I really would hope that at the very least that is when your alarm bells would go off. But then again, there was that cut essay where the woman gave someone $50,000 in a shoebox. So, anything can happen in the heat of the scamming moment.
Yeah.
But while this scam was happening over on sort of the SNL alum side of the culture, everyone else, it feels like, was talking about the SNL news, which is the new cast members who have been announced for this upcoming season. But they weren't just talking about, like, who they are, do they look funny, who's cute, although there was a lot of that. The big point of discourse was actually about two new cast members specifically who, unlike the other comedians in this new cohort, come not from the stages of comedy clubs in New York City, but from TikTok.
And people are having big feelings about it. So let's discuss this after a quick break. When we come back, TikTok is a new pipeline for SNL. So how is that changing comedy as a whole? This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Saks Fifth Avenue makes it easy to get creative with your personal style and find the best arrivals for fall. I love going through Saks.com because it is so easy to find new arrivals from my favorite designers, and I get a lot of inspiration for my personal style. With fall coming up, I think it's time for reinvention. I think it's time for a wardrobe refresh. So I've been going on Saks.com because I have my eye on a few Jenny Kane sweaters, and thank God they have them all in stock. But that's my experience with Saks.com. There's so much more to explore based on your personal style and what you're looking for. So this fall, whether you're trying out the latest fashion trends or curating a closet that stands the test of time, Saks has you covered. Whether it's a date night, a vacation, a special occasion, or just lounging in style, Saks helps you find the perfect look for every occasion. If you want shopping to be fun and easy, then head to Saks Fifth Avenue for inspiring ways to elevate your personal style every day.
When did making plans get this complicated? It's time to streamline with WhatsApp, the secure messaging app that brings the whole group together. Use polls to settle dinner plans. Send event invites and pin messages so no one forgets Mom's 60th. And never miss a meme or milestone. All protected with end-to-end encryption. It's time for WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone. Learn more at whatsapp.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Insurance may all seem the same on the surface, but having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like getting a speech from your third cousin's +1 at your wedding when you needed a speech from your best man. You wouldn't settle for just any speech, so don't settle for just any insurance. When it comes to getting the help you need, State Farm is the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
And we're back, and let's talk about them. These new TikTok famous cast members joining SNL this season. And we're going to start with kind of the big one. She's the most famous one on TikTok. Her name is Veronica Slowakowska. She is known, and this is like a style of video that, I would say is one of the pioneers of, but she's certainly not the only one of, which is very cringe, awkward, uncomfortable TikTok comedy where you're kind of watching a video and the comment will say something like, "This was a really tough watch, thanks." Like right, like the point is to kind of make it, I'm thinking like kind of Nathan, like the point is that the audience member is uncomfortable, but she kind of occupies this like, I would say like female Tim Robinson because she's very goofy with like a dash of Michael Scott. Like her persona is a little bit like naive as well. I mean, here's a clip. I was looking at some clips like out of context. I mean, the whole point is they're very like bizarre out of context. And so this was the one that I thought would translate best. But Candice, you can tell me if you think this means anything after we listen to it.
I got a new haircut. I moved to New York.
Excuse me? I feel like I recognize you.
Hi. Maybe I make stupid videos sometimes.
Were you in a Starbucks downtown like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't let you use the bathroom. They said customers only.
Yeah.
You threw a fit. Yeah.
That was me.
Said, I can't use that bathroom.
I'm told the place becomes the bathroom. Yes, that's so funny.
So that's kind of an example. The thing she's best known for is kind of hard. It would take the whole podcast. She's kind of has this character that she occupies living with a guy named Kyle. And there's like a will they, won't they? But the whole, she's very awkward and bizarre throughout all of that. I don't know, you're familiar with the Kyle lore. Do you find Veronica funny?
I'm hot and cold on her. I think some of her videos get on my timeline and I'm like, you know what? Hits. Some of her stuff I really scroll past and I don't love. But I will admit, I think that's why I was a little surprised that she made it to SNL. Not so much that she's not good enough for SNL, that SNL is like seeing her consistently enough to be like, that's our girl. And what's really funny is she is actually the only new cast member that I recognize. She has over 1 million Instagram followers. I know her because of Kyle, the aforementioned Kyle, because she does these videos with him where it's like Kyle and these 3 guys in a New York apartment. And I gotta be honest, I sometimes find those funny. I sometimes don't. But the thing is, her and Kyle, his name's Kyle Chase, aka Kyle for Now. They have a podcast together, okay? It's called Nevermind, and I am not going to lie. I am getting Bowen Yang, Matt Rogers vibes from them. I'm getting a little, one was hired on SNL and the other wasn't. Is the podcast still intact? Who knows? Who knows?
Interesting. And so that's Veronica in one corner. And then the other corner, we have another sort of TikTok comedian, Jeremy Culhane. So he's made commercial and television appearances, but he's probably most famous for... He makes these very funny clips and videos on TikTok where he plays like this just very, very earnest user. Uncomfortably earnest is kind of the through line here. And he also appears on Dropout TV, which for those who don't know is a subscription service. It streams original comedy. And here's Jeremy on one of Dropout's shows called Make Some Noise.
The early bird is a real dick about it.
Oh my God.
Oh, look at this worm all for me, David the bird. Oh, you other pelicans wanted this worm? You didn't wake up early enough, mother. If you want the worm, it goes to the earliest bird. And this is why I sent emails about it. You guys knew. You guys knew. La, la, la. You want to hear my songbird? Suck my
So very like, whose line is it anyway? But for like the TikTok era is kind of the vibe. And then there were two other new cast members announced. One is a comedian named Cam Patterson. He has appeared on the comedy podcast Kill Tony, which I am sorry to report is kind of in the Joe Rogan universe. So we'll just move swiftly on. And then there's another stand-up called Tommy Brennan. He did a late night clip recently on Fallon. He's kind of just a more traditional stand-up. So Candice, it sounds like, are you only familiar with sort of it sounds like it's just Veronica.
I do know Tommy. He has passed by my For You page. He's the guy who wears like 80s sports like jackets. And I do know that he did a set that was something about like he has a breadwinner girlfriend.
I saw that one too.
She makes more money than me. What? No. Yeah, she does. And a lot of people think I should be insecure about that. I've never been cockier in my life. Do you know how good of a boyfriend you have to be also be a financial burden? I'm incredible. And she does let me pay for stuff sometimes, but it feels like a real Make-A-Wish situation. She'll be like, do you want to hand the nice man the dollar? And sometimes in an elevator, I get to push all the buttons, too.
I have to say, he is like the most classically comic, handsome looking guy. Not surprised.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with Cam, but I've seen that same clip of Tommy and he seems like a cutie, I'll say it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I find Veronica and Jeremy so funny. I've seen them, I follow them both on TikTok. They appear all the time. And so I'm really excited, but there's been a real divide in the reactions, especially in like Twitter versus TikTok, because TikTok, I'm seeing fan cams of Veronica, fan cams of Jeremy. It feels like, someone from your home team made it big or whatever. Like everyone feels that kind of sense of ownership in their success because before this, they've just been known in these really niche sort of online comedy circles. But Twitter does not get it. This is just one of the many tweets I've seen about these new hires. It reads, I've seen approximately 20 TikToks from new SNL cast members on the timeline recently, and not a single one has even made me crack a smile. So we've just listened to a few of those clips. Why do you think the reaction has been so negative?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because we both know that this happens every year, right? Mm-hmm. Like every year people leave, every year there's new people. A part of me wonders if it's kind of an offshoot of maybe some people's like beloved cast members like Heidi, like Michael Longfellow leaving. Is that part of the residual negativity?
Yeah, people hate change, so maybe they're like,
I think so.
They're half mourning, half being like, well, this is new and different and I don't want it.
Right, and feeling like these new people are replacing them directly, which is not always true, but a little bit true. But if I really think about it, I wonder if this is also a platform issue, right? Because like Twitter seems to really not vibe with this new SNL cast. By the way, a lot of prejudging. These people have not even debuted on the stage yet. A lot of prejudging. TikTok, I feel like, is liking them because they're one of their own. In fact, I go on Veronica's old videos and I'm seeing a lot of 2021 comments that are like, get her on SNL. And I'm like, oh.
They manifested it.
Exactly. I will throw in a third person, Reddit, because if you go on the Live from New York subreddit, this is the SNL community. I mean, these people can be fierce and intense and judgy, so I was expecting that energy. Oh, they're so happy. They are so happy for Jeremy and Veronica, even Cam a little bit. These people are absolutely celebrating on Reddit. And so I wonder if this is about, which audiences found which comedian on which platform. This feeling of like one of our own versus he's not one of us. Maybe that's why Twitter feels so out of the joke. They don't get it.
Yeah, well, because I think if you're in like an SNL subreddit, you already are a little bit deeper into the comedy world than like the average person online. And so it would make sense that these people have already come across your feed because on the internet, they're pretty big comedians. But on Twitter, I mean, now it is basically just bot Republicans, and then like people, who are just still can't tear themselves away. But it is very much more like surface level monoculture people. And a lot of these comedians, specifically the ones who come from TikTok, are the only evidence that their comedy online is on these platforms where online humor is very different. TikTok humor in particular is a different type of humor than what we see on SNL. And I understand that like someone coming in just looking for your like basic sketch comedy would see a Veronica and be like, what the hell am I looking at? I mean, SNL plays it pretty safe. They don't get that experimental, but I would say TikTok comedy is very experimental. I mean, it is short. It is character POV based. Like oftentimes, like the medium itself is part of the joke. Like you being a person watching a TikTok, you are a character. Like that is your role as character in their sketch.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, it's just like a second person type thing where it's like you are dropped in the sketch POV. You are watching me do this versus just being like an audience member watching. Like they're talking to you, and that's different.
Yeah.
Or they're talking with an awareness of you, and they're probably building on TikTok language, TikTok jokes. There's this sort of if you know type comedy that happens on TikTok that when it's dropped onto Twitter, if you're not from that community, it's not going to make any sense.
I wonder if part of this has to do a little bit with the pandemic and how it really taught certain internet comedians who popped during that time to become really well versed in like the one-man show production of it all, right? Because it's filming themselves doing POVs, using their front-facing camera, playing both characters.
Yeah.
And they don't need a partner. They don't need an audience. You're the partner. And I think in a way that also means that they depend a lot on post-production to make the joke tighter, better. They're in CapCut doing it themselves. And that's where I get a little scared. That's where I get a little worried because when they do go to SNL, if they go to SNL, they're not recording it. There is no edit. This is live.
Yeah.
And that worries me a little bit.
But we have seen SNL kind of try to start embracing the TikTok generation. And I say that like try loosely because in terms of like them even acknowledging the internet, they have a recurring sort of TikTok For You page based sketch format where like what comes up on our screen is basically a recreation of what someone's For You page would look like. But it is, the cast members acting out different videos. But I will say, like TikTok itself and the kind of content people make on TikTok and how ridiculous it is, that is the butt of the joke. Like they're still laughing at TikTok, not really with them. They're still differentiating themselves.
Right.
But then there's other things like having Trisha Paytas on. I mean, we had to reset our counter. It has been however many episodes since we mentioned Trisha Paytas. But, having her on suggests a specific, like that's catering to a certain audience. And there were people who knew who she was and felt very like spoken to when she was there, but there were plenty of people who didn't know her. And so it's still kind of straddling this weird line.
Yeah, I was going to say that recurring TikTok For You page sketch, there are some good things about it, right? This is where Chloe Fineman can do her Britney Spears like twirling impression. That's where she did her Alex Cooper impression. Honest question, do you like this sketch? Do you like this format?
It feels very SNL. That is what I will say. Like that, it feels like that is right now how they know to engage with TikTok as a medium, which is interesting because it's like, it doesn't actually acknowledge how SNL really engages with TikTok, which is just through viral clips. Like I would say the clips of them doing a TikTok For You page based sketch, those don't really take off on TikTok because it's like a little too much.
Yeah.
But SNL is huge on TikTok. And they're huge because of just the little clips that go viral. And it has kind of changed how people consume the program because I was looking it up. The average TV audience for SNL, like when it's airing, is around 4 to 5 million viewers every episode. I am not one of them. That is too late for me. I must be in bed. But if you look at a popular sketch from last season, so the Domingo character and the bridesmaids singing, that was a huge one.
Now she's with a hot guy, but he looks gay. Heard his name's Domingo. Second location, maybe he's bi, still dancing with Domingo. Third location, fully straight, fully touching Domingo.
I can't wait to be his wife. She's pointing to Domingo.
So, quick question. Who's Domingo?
Oh, just this random guy we met. I told you about him.
I'm positive you did not.
On YouTube, that sketch has 19 million views.
Wow.
On TikTok, that is their most popular TikTok that they've ever posted, the SNL account, with 109 million views. Those numbers, like obviously that's over time and the show itself when it's airing, that only happens once. So like just use that in your calculations. But still, 4 million versus 109 million. That's a huge difference. And it is indicative of the way that consuming SNL content is changing, because that now is how I see it. I used to get up on Sunday mornings and put it on. I don't really do that anymore. I just kind of trust my algorithm to deliver to me sort of the highlights of the night. Do you still watch it, Candice?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same as you. As like the last time I watched it live is when, do you remember this? Cardi B announced she was pregnant during her performance. This was in 2018, guys. Like, this is 2018.
Oh my God.
And that was the last time I watched it live, because now I really truly depend on the Forsaken algorithm to bring me the best sketches of the night, but even more microscopically, the best moments. Because I think the thing about Domingo going viral on TikTok is like, the entire sketch is not like amazing the entire way through. It's kind of a bell curve, right? Starts slow, gets to a climax, whatever. And a lot of people were able to kind of like feast over, enjoy, celebrate the part where Marcelo comes into the sketch and plays Domingo.
Kelsey, I'm here.
See, now, if this is Domingo, I'm going to be pissed.
Hey, man. Came all this way, had to explain, direct from Domingo. Kelsey's a friend, she's like my sis, but we did hook up though.
Yeah, and it might seem like SNL is only taking over social media now, but it's actually had a much longer relationship with the internet than we might think. When we come back, we'll talk about how the internet has already changed Saturday Night Live to the point that SNL might need internet comedians more than internet comedians need SNL.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Hey there, if you love our podcast, then subscribe to Slate Plus to immediately unlock bonus episodes. You'll access ad-free listening across all your favorite Slate podcasts, including bi-weekly bonus episodes of this show, where we talk about things like the fight between Mr. Beast and Caleb Heron, why Goodreads is actually good, and we also have a book club. So subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking try free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/ICYMI Plus to get access wherever you listen. And we're back. And Kate, I feel like now is a good time to drop some new lore, which is, you used to do sketch comedy. Do tell.
I mean, even by acknowledging it in this way, it is getting more weight than I think it deserves. But yes, when I moved to New York, one of the first things I did was start taking classes at UCB, which is the Upright Citizens Brigade, and they have a training center here in New York, and that is where you could take sketch writing classes or improv classes.
Yeah.
Improv scares the absolute shit out of me. I've only ever done it once or twice.
It is scary.
It does not. No, even me talking about it, I'm clamming up.
Right.
But sketch writing, I did all the classes at UCB. I went on from there to do a sketch group with some people who I connected with in those classes. And for a few years in my 20s, we were making, both sketch for both the stage and also for YouTube. We did a lot for a while. We were, in fact, one show, and there was like nobody in the audience, so no one go thinking this was like a big fancy show. But we were doing it with Please Don't Destroy. They were the other act that was booked.
Oh my God.
Which is crazy. Like they were and even then they were so good. They were like,
that's crazy.
It was so clear that like two different tiers of talent were on the stage
Can
that
I ask,
night.
did you have a group name?
Yes. Yes. I'm pausing because it does mean people can go find the stuff, but it is called Shiners. And there's still really we don't make sketches together anymore because some people have moved.
You broke up.
We never broke up, but people have moved away, and there was and the people who there are like people in it who are like career comedians who are like putting in the work, and they have gone on to do that, and that's amazing. And then there's people like me who
went corporate.
I've gone corporate, baby. Here I am. But no, I even though I'm not writing sketches actively, I've been a comedy fan for forever. I mean, how I first came across Saturday Night Live was through clips on YouTube. I believe they did like a Harry Potter parody that I watched before I even knew what SNL was. And that's actually how SNL first kind of became an internet phenomenon, was through these clips. Specifically, it was Lonely Island's Lazy Sunday video in 2005. It was one of the first viral videos, not because SNL posted it, but because people posted bootleg versions. And then finally, I think SNL was like, okay, we got to start getting these on the platform.
For me, my first Lonely Island video, I'm on a boat. And I love that song so much.
I'm on a boat. I Just Had Sex. That was a big one.
Yes. Yes. And then Dick in a Box.
Obviously, Dick in a Box.
We're just listing music videos. Like, you know what? Let's play it now, actually. Let's go to my TV.
No, they I mean, that was... I feel like watching YouTube videos
with your friends.
It was you would all sit around a computer and do that, and a lot of times it was SNL, and so SNL was already happening to the internet, but it was not until 2019 that the internet started like happening to SNL, if I may, because that was when Bowen Yang and Chloe Fineman were hired as cast members. Now Bowen had already been writing, but to have both of them on stage, both of these people's first stage was Instagram and Twitter. Chloe Fineman did impressions on Instagram, and now those translated pretty seamlessly to SNL.
Yeah.
Bowen, I mean, he did a lot of comedy around Brooklyn, but he went viral on Twitter for kind of lip syncing these Sandra Oh monologues. I don't know if you ever saw those when those were going viral, but it was like when he was announced, it was like, oh my gosh, it's not, oh, that's XYZ comedian. It's, oh my gosh, that's the guy who did the Sandra Oh videos.
Yes.
Chloe and Bowen, it's crazy because the internet is just moving like faster and faster each year, that somehow things that happened in 2019 on the internet feel really dated. But they were very emblematic, like the lip sync videos, the impressions, that is of an era. And it feels like we're now in this new era of comedy that is very much changed by TikTok. And that is where, in recent years, SNL's new talent has been coming from. And so I mentioned Please Don't Destroy earlier. They're a 3-person sketch team, and people were kind of calling them like the Gen Z Lonely Island. It was 3 guys.
Yeah.
On TikTok, they would just do these sketches of them in their apartment, and they would go super viral. They recreated this when they were hired at SNL by making sketches that just happened in their office together. But now, Please Don't Destroy as a sketch group, it appears will not be on SNL moving forward, because Ben Marshall, who is one of the 3 members, we saw him like frequently on the show in those sketches, but this season he's kind of been plucked and promoted to be a featured player kind of alongside these new cast members. So he's not actually a new cast member. Like, everyone already knows him from these videos, but now he is going to be used in sketches outside of just the Please Don't Destroy format. And in the case of the other 2 members, one is becoming a writer and another is leaving to work on acting projects.
Yeah.
Crucially, not Ben's, but the 2 other members had family members who work at SNL or who appeared on SNL, so you can do the math there.
Yeah.
But then last year, they also hired someone, Jane Wickline. Did you see Jane Wickline on TikTok at all, Candice, before she came on the show?
Oh, man. No, I was not. And I'm not going to lie. It took me a little bit to get into her on SNL. But when she did the sketch of her and Marcello playing, like, the couple you can't believe are together, he's a frat bro, she's very librarian, I was, like, locked in. Cool. I like you.
So how did you guys meet?
Oh, we met at the club, Colin. It was trap night at Club Sweat. And I walk in and I see the finest thing I ever seen in my life. And she's sitting at the bar watching Steven Universe on her phone. So I walk up and I say, damn, who are you?
And I said, like, hi, I'm Alyssa.
Yeah. And I said, nice to meet you, Alyssa. I'm in love. Play my track, baby.
Yeah, I feel like what happened with Jane and the reception to her is like a precursor to what we're having now, which is, again, her comedy is not bold and brash. It's very, like, kind of awkward. She plays multiple characters and it's very understated. And again, it works really well online. I think they've been using her well on the show, but I know there are some people who even now still don't get her thing.
Yeah.
And again, I wonder if that's a little bit of that internet not quite translating. But now we're going to see, because the SNL is continuing to go all in with Veronica and Jeremy. But I don't know. This is something that's come up when we've talked about TikTok comedians before, Candice, which is like everyone's first reaction when they love someone is, oh, I hope they go on SNL. And something that we've been like kind of batting around recently whenever we hear that is like, I don't know if SNL is like the end all be all for comedy anymore. Like, do you think these comedians, like, do they need SNL to, I mean, obviously it's a huge honor, but in terms of like making it in comedy, do you feel like the internet has kind of upended that a little bit, upended SNL's role as this kind of comedy gatekeeper?
It's tough because I do think even now, if you go in like a TikTok comedian's comments and someone's like, oh, at SNL, hire her. Like, it is a compliment. It is a compliment. But I do have this air of kind of like, dream bigger, babes. Because I just think what it is like, historically, SNL has been seen as this institution, this place you want to land at, and hopefully you make good comedy there and go out, get your own show, do something like that. It's kind of a stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
I think what it is now is like we're seeing these TikTok comedians kind of take the side door, maybe even the back door to get into SNL. So this is not doing stand-up, not like doing UCB going through training, but like just posting stuff on TikTok and like seeing if it hits, hoping it lands on Lauren's desk. And I think the person that's making me really question this is Veronica, because she has so many followers, like 1 million followers on Instagram. There are SNL cast members who don't have 1 million followers on Insta. And I really saw her and I said, girl, I don't think you need this. I really thought that.
I know. Well, yeah, because I think like prior to everyone having their entire comedy history on the internet, the idea was like when you got on SNL, like you had been putting in the work within the comedy community, but for everyone else, you were pretty unknown.
Yeah.
And the whole point was like, okay, you're on SNL, and this, if you, like you said, if you do well, this is your career made. Like, it's going to launch you into the spotlight. And that worked for some people, and for others it didn't. But like, yeah, Veronica, she already is in the spotlight. Like, she's not, there are obviously people meeting her for the first time, but like you said, 1 million people already know about her, and that's pretty huge. And we've started to learn recently that, you know, SNL obviously has all this history and prestige to it in name, but around the 50th anniversary special, there was just like so much press, so many deep dives. And one thing that Pete Davidson, who was a former cast member, says is that he was paid like $3,000 an episode when he first started, which is around like $60,000 salary a year if we sort of add them all together. Not to get back into the debate of $55K gate.
I was gonna say, like, at least they're getting paid more than the cutting room floors person that they're hiring. All right.
Yeah. But it's like, you know, again, that's a fine salary, but that's not life-changing money in New York City. And independent content creators, like if you're making videos online, making sketches, if you work with a brand, you can make $3,000 per video, you know, depending on who you're working with.
From home.
Right, from home.
Yeah.
From home. And then there's also just so many, like Lorne Michaels is not like the gatekeeper anymore in terms of like being put in front of people's eyeballs. You can just make a video that hits. And like you said, there are all these side doors in, like Caleb Heron, who we talked about on the recent Plus episode. He went sort of the podcast route and making those would go viral, and then he would obviously do stand-up. But I would say it's his internet fame that really helped put him in front of casting directors, and he's gotten a few little bit parts and things, and we're all rooting for him the same way people are rooting for like Jeremy. And then again, there's like what we were talking about earlier, like Dropout TV. That is kind of this new training ground, because I feel like if you listen or watch interviews, especially with like old school SNL cast members, they'll be like, oh, we first met at like Second City in Chicago, or something like that. Like they all kind of came up together.
Right.
And so much about that is like, okay, you have to be in Chicago, or you have to be in LA, or to be in New York. Again, the geographical barriers are kind of like gone when it comes to internet comedy. And now there are these internet-based comedy cohorts that, in the case of Jeremy, like Dropout was kind of his training ground. And now he's in the cast member. And like there could be a world in like 10, 15 years where they're doing those interviews and it's like, oh yeah, we came up on Dropout together, or we came up on Smosh together, which is sort of another comedy cohort online. I mean, it's a little bit different than UCB, which offers training courses. But again, you now don't have to spend $400 every time you want to take, I mean, I'm sure with inflation it's gone up. Every time you want to take a UCB class now, like you can just do like a 20-second video and it can suddenly make you a household name.
Yeah. I think what I'm realizing is this era of like comedy, and not only like institutional comedy, but the dumb things that you and I send each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think what it is people just don't want gatekeepers anymore. Because
Yeah.
even when we talk about Dropout, the thing is, in order to get on Dropout, someone who works for Dropout has to like you. And yes, you may just need one, but you need someone to like validate you. And I think the thing about TikTok, and the reason why I'm not even surprised that SNL is sourcing their new people from TikTok, is because, look, in the pandemic, a lot of places like comedy clubs shut down or kind of lost their communities, lost their physical permanence because of the pandemic. And that's usually where people go to find their like favorite comedian, right? They go to the Comedy Store, they sit there, they watch. Now the place we find our best favorite comedian is on our couch on TikTok. And I do think by breaking down the gatekeeping of it all, it just means that comedians you wouldn't expect, maybe comedians who can't pay for UCB classes, maybe comedians who don't live in New York, they can just reach you faster. And I don't think that's a bad thing, you know?
Yeah, it just changes, again, like if every single person you're hiring on SNL did UCB classes, they're all going to have UCB has a very specific formula for sketch writing and for improv, and it shows. And so I think it's good to sort of source from other places and have people on the internet, because it is going to shake up just the type of comedy that's on the show. But there is one person who kind of disproves this whole anti-gatekeeping thing or this idea that SNL can't be life-changing, and that is Bowen Yang. I mean, from the internet, from podcasting to writing for SNL to being on SNL to being on Wicked. It is the viral Twitter video to Wicked video pipeline.
Yeah, but I do think with Bowen as well, I think a lot of us are feeling this moment with him right now where, I'll be frank, I was a little surprised he didn't leave SNL. And that's because I think his star is kind of surpassing SNL. And that's like a very interesting trajectory that not all cast members like experience. But when you do, it becomes the hardest question of like, do I leave?
That's interesting. And a part of me wonders, I mean, obviously he can leave and do whatever he wants. You're not held hostage at SNL until Lorne Michaels fires you. But I do think, because one of the things we've kind of touched on is that people have these parasocial relationships with these comedians, both before they're on SNL and on TikTok and when they are on it. And I think there's so many people who probably tune into SNL because of Bowen. So again, it's like SNL kind of needs these personalities, even if they're not tuning in live, to be one of those 109 million viewers on those videos. And I think it's interesting to have Veronica, for instance, coming in with 1 million Instagram followers. Like, we don't know if that's going to translate to like an additional million people watching SNL.
Right.
But it certainly gives her some currency, even as a newbie.
Yeah, I think so.
And especially when we watch these hirings and firings, they can feel so brutal. But if you're an internet comedy creator, before you're an SNL creator, it's kind of like SNL suddenly becomes a little less of a lifeline for you, because even if you're on it and then off after one season, you still have the community that you've built around you, and they're going to be even more excited to rush to you and be like, you know what, you were wronged and all this stuff. And so that's another way. I just think if SNL isn't this giant establishment gatekeeper anymore that decides who's funny and who isn't and is like the key to comedy, how does that change who joins and who they pick? And I think this is all culminating in the beginning of the end of Lorne Michaels' weird iron grip on the entire comedy community. And maybe Veronica is the one to upend it.
I'm like, are you this close to saying you're about to threaten Lorne Michaels physically?
I would never do that on a podcast where it's recorded. Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Saturday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you'll never miss an episode. Leave us a rating and a review in Apple or Spotify, and tell your friends about us. You can follow us on Twitter at ICYMI_pod or on Instagram at ICYMI_pod. And you can always drop us a note at ICYMI@slate.com.
ICYMI is produced by Vic Whitley-Berry, Kate Lindsay, and me, Candice Lim. Daisy Rosario is our senior supervising producer. Mia Lobel is Slate's executive producer of podcasts. And Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online,
where you might get discovered by Lorne Michaels.
This episode is brought to you by Saks Fifth Avenue. Saks Fifth Avenue makes it easy to get creative with your personal style and find the best arrivals for fall. I love going through Saks.com because it is so easy to find new arrivals from my favorite designers, and I get a lot of inspiration for my personal style. With fall coming up, I think it's time for reinvention. I think it's time for a wardrobe refresh. So I've been going on Saks.com because I have my eye on a few Jenny Kane sweaters, and thank God they have them all in stock. But that's my experience with Saks.com. There's so much more to explore based on your personal style and what you're looking for. So this fall, whether you're trying out the latest fashion trends or curating a closet that stands the test of time, Saks has you covered. Whether it's a date night, a vacation, a special occasion, or just lounging in style, Saks helps you find the perfect look for every occasion. If you want shopping to be fun and easy, then head to Saks Fifth Avenue for inspiring ways to elevate your personal style every day.
Your sausage McMuffin with egg didn't change. Your receipt did. The sausage McMuffin with egg extra value meal includes a hash brown and a small coffee for just $5. Only at McDonald's for a limited time.
Prices and participation may vary.